So from some of the previous videos, a lot of you have been commenting on how much work goes into these shots, which is interesting because we're actually doing them really rushed on YouTube. So for this shot here, we're going to go through the full creative process of a much simpler shot than I do for my portfolio, but I think it will give you context. This is probably 1/10 of the process of what we do for an actual portfolio shot, but just multiply the time. So what I've got going on here is a bottle of pills. We're going to do a macro shot of a pill as a hero for an advert. Now this advert would never actually exist because you're not allowed to show pills in adverts, but I think they look quite cool. It's quite a cool idea. So far I've got out a glue gun and some modeling wire because we're going to have to somehow get this going on. Now this is an American brand, so we're going to use the same red as the background as the actual packaging, and then the pill's blue. So it's going to be quite a nice mix of colours. And now I'm going to shoot it in my style, but apart from that, there's not really much more going on. So the first thing we need to do is get it attached onto this wire so we can get a shot. Then we're going to go through the process of choosing lenses, camera settings, the whole shebang. So yeah, I guess we're going to get cracking with that and we'll just bring you along for the ride. Shane, would you mind bringing in that multi-socket from back there? So I think I'm going to hot glue gun the tablet onto this cable. I don't know if it's going to work or not yet. And this is just a modeling wire kind of spooled together. So whilst we get this glue gun going, we'll get a red background up. So we'll get a C-stand in the background, get that all going. We'll try not to set fire to anything here. If we could bring that red in, I think, and we'll attach it to a C-stand. I'll grab some clamps. There we go. So what we'll do is just get a C-stand in here with a boom arm. Let's grab this one. And we'll sort of hoist it. There we go. So when you put your C-stand up, big leg at the same size that the weight's going to be bared on, and that way we stand a better chance of not knocking it all over. We'll use this broken sandbag. So what we'll do, Shane, if you could hold it red facing this way, we'll just clamp it on with these beastly clamps. That should, I think, hold it. Just let it go. Is it going to hold it? Not quite. So if you hang on to it then, we'll raise it up and we'll rest it on the table. Oh, we've lost one clamp already. This is going swimmingly smoothly, and we'll come along this way a little bit. That's it. So we'll just bring this along. We lost two clamps. How tall are you? I'll lower it down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
How's that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Brilliant. Now we have a very precarious background. So we've got the red background, the glue gun's heating up. I'm going to crack out some Tylenol pills, and I've got to choose the best one. We need to make sure we've got the nicest looking one. And then I'm just having a look in here for a brush. Because they're sort of chalky and powdery, I'm pretty certain we're going to have to brush the tablet first just to make sure it's looking good. Oh, these are pretty uniformed. There we go. So I've got my little tablet and we're going to attach it to this, which I don't know how this is going to work. So a bit of hot glue. Now if this works first time, I'll be amazed. No, look at that. It's almost perfect. I'm just going to get my brush. This is just saving a little bit of time in post, just getting rid of anything on there we don't want. We've sort of got a rough idea. Oh, it's come off. Right, we need more hot glue. So we might need to go for a bit of wood in between it, just so it bonds better. And if this doesn't work, we'll have to come up with a different plan. So I think what I'm going to do now is actually put some hot glue around the back of this as well and sort of properly stick it on. So the metal's kind of in the middle of it all. Then we might just need to use a bit of a scalpel afterwards. There we go. That looks better. I mean, it looks a bit of a mess, but it looks more securely held. And of course, there'll be quite a lot of Photoshop in this as well. Now, in terms of lens, I've got my 90mm on at the moment. I don't think I'm going to go wider because it's already pretty wide on a medium format sensor. We're coming in as close as we can. This is all about the pill. So we'll get focus first. I'll just extend the bellows a bit. Out there. So pretty close to the product. I'm going to have to bring the lens hood in, and I want to increase the magnification. So I'm going to actually move my front bellows forwards here, which is not something I often do. Get even closer in, and then we'll correct the focus at the rear. Maybe a bit closer again. That's looking good. Again, correcting it with the focus at the rear. Out there. Okay. So I've got a nice composition going on. I'm going to try without knocking it. I want to have this slightly at an angle. Okay, let's get some live view going up here so you can see what I'm seeing at the same time. There we go. So that's what we've got at the moment. So just get that focus nailed in. So we've got quite a lot of glue going on. Again, it's very small still. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer in with the magnification. We're almost at the front of the bellows at this point, but we've got a bit more extension we can do here. See how it gets bigger and bigger doing this? This is basically moving the camera closer. And then we'll correct the focus again at the rear. Make it a little bit bigger again. I think we've hit the table at this point. That's as close as we can go. Now I'm just going to change the composition's height a little bit. Just using the rear stand to get it nice and centered. So we're going to Photoshop this anyway. We're going to pull the whole tablet off. So we're not worrying too much about the little bits either side of it. So I've got my 90mm lens on. I'm liking the look of that. And it's mostly distortion in terms of what we're choosing lens-wise. So if we wanted to make it look more heroic, we might go bigger with a wider lens. But I think for now, this does the job. We'll close this down, we'll get our first frame, and we're hoping for a pitch black frame. That's kind of the aim here. So we know that all these video lights in here are doing nothing to the image, which is exactly what we've got, which is perfect. So first we need to do is decide how we're going to light this subject, how are we going to make it look heroic. Now we've got the side down here, and I want that side not to be lit in the same way that the actual tablet is. I want the hot spot to be where the hand is on the computer right now, and the lights come across in a very harsh, contrasty way. So we need to bring in a light from this side here. So Shane, if you could grab me a C stand, I'll grab us a head. That's great, just bring it around this side here if that's okay. We'll bring a light in straight from the side there. Perfect. So if I lose this, Shane, if you grab that for me. I don't think we'll be booming it in. And then we'll, So I've got a super deep reflector here, and I want it to come from a high angle, but obviously we're quite low down with a small item, so high angle for us can be about here. Then just really angling it down. Now, we're dealing with a really small item here, so we're probably going to end up gridding the light just so we get a bit more control over it. So this is a super tight grid. This is a sort of, I don't know how many degrees it is, but it's not many. We're going to pop this in here. We're just going to try and control this light as much as we can. The closer the light comes in, the quicker the light will fall off, but also the softer it will be. I'm going to get my bellows to go as far forward as I can before they affect the lighting, which is about there for the lens. Close down live view. We'll grab a quick frame just to see where we are. It sounded like a lot of light, but we'll have a look. So it's a lot of out of focus. Let's just readjust that focus there. Let's try that. Still not quite sharp. We're getting there at the back. This is very close to this particular lens that we're using there. So just slightly out in focus. We stop the lens down a bit further as well because it's so close in. I would say never be afraid of using more aperture. A bit more depth of field is never a bad thing. A lot of people worry about the sharpness being lost, but I think on the grand scheme of things, it's better to have a slightly softer out of focus image, slightly softer in focus image than a sharper image where it's not all in focus. I think that's definitely the way to go. Got the modelling light in there for a bit more. That's better. Right, let's add a little bit of grade to the actual item. So far all we've got is the actual tablet. We're a little bit hot at the top. We're going to adjust that in a second. But what I want to do is just make sure we've got some sharpening applied now, just so we can see how we're doing focus-wise. We'll probably need a focus stack on this. We're definitely going to have to adjust the light. It's too hot at the top compared to the correct exposure at the bottom. So to do that, we need to move it further away. So we'll go out a bit and up a bit. Just grab a quick frame of that. So we do want the hot spot up here, but not quite as hot. Let's get in there. Let's try that. And then whilst I'm doing this, Shane, if you could grab another pack from over there, we'll plug it into what was the hot glue gun. And we'll bring these around the back. We'll get a light on the background as well in a minute, ready. So we'll just take pack over here. We'll pop one head on this stand, just shining at the background, just to light the background. What we're going to do now is just open up this lens to get a really good focus on this. That's about it. Brilliant. And then if we could grab one of those heads from back there as well, we'll pop that on this stand and we'll get the background light ready to go. We can lose the hot glue gun. That's kind of working as well as I'd hope it to. I forgot to shut my lens back down though. There we go, that's getting there. We've now got that nice moody look going on. So this first light going on here will just be for the background. So if we plug that into that multi-socket. Now we're just going to balance these lights up so we get the same sort of vibe on the background that we've got on the light. We want a rich, deep, saturated background. Plug that in there, turn that on, check the trigger's working. There we go. We can see with the modelling light at which point it starts to affect that, so it's going to make sure we've got it turned all the way around. There we go. Bring this in a bit more as well, just for sort of ease on the set later. Let's grab a frame of that, so f32 now. I think I've got high-speed burst mode on. We probably don't need that on this sort of set. That's better. Okay, so we can see the red light starting to come in, but we need a lot more. So we're at 400 joules on the key light, very close up. And I think we need to come up and maybe need 3 stops on here. So that's about the same power now, but without the grid. That's better. Put a quick focus mask on. Yeah, we're in focus there. Obviously lost some sharpness from the lens, but that's okay. It's better to have the lack of sharpness than anything else. Now what I want now is a red glow on the side of this pill and on the bottom. So we're going to grab another head from over there and another C-stand. I'm hoping I've got a red gel somewhere. There we go. Super, I'll grab that. Actually grab me a C-stand, just take the boom arm off it, I think. And we're going to want this light to be very controlled. So I'm going to get another grid out here because we only want it to affect the bit we want it to. So the grids are just, they're stopping the spread. They kind of work on the inverse square law in some ways in that they reduce the spread, but in other ways they don't, in that the modelling effect still kind of remains the same. So let me find from my big box of grids a super tight grid. Thank you very much. And what we have to be careful of when we're using gels and grids again is just making sure the modelling light doesn't set everything on fire. So we'll probably get the shot pretty much set up first. So I just want to get this light to hit the side, sort of glance past it into the lens. I'm a bit worried about flare, but we'll worry about that properly in a bit. Maybe about there. Let's turn that modelling light off. There we go. So do a test frame first just to check the power, and then we'll get the gel in place. It's a bit much, but maybe once the gel's in there, it won't be so bad. Shane, do we have that roll of gaffer's tape? Could you grab me? Nice one. Thank you. That'll be enough, I think. Let's try and get a little red glow going on at the back. Just wait for that big file to come through. So we've got a bit of the red light coming through, but it's taken off a lot of power. There's this one here. There we go, so we're starting to get this red glow just here, but I want a little bit more down the side. I like this, but I want it to be a bit more, and we're going to need some sort of reflector at the bottom as well, because it's too dark and that's going to be a nightmare to clone out. I don't know how much power we've got left on this pack. We're almost at full power here. That's it, so we've got 3,500 joules now coming through the back. At this point, there's no more power we can give it, so that'll be what we get here is what we get. Oh, slight sinkish over, not my shutter speed. And whilst that's coming through, it's going to grab some white card from somewhere, some white paper, just to bounce a bit of light back up. Okay, this is like a diffusion bit from a camera. And this is where I could knock the whole tablet off and cause chaos. It's definitely knocked its placement a bit. So I just have to recheck focus. It's not really done a lot. I'm loving the red down the side, but we still need a bit more light on the bottom here just for cutting out, I think. What do you reckon, Rob? A bit more light on the bottom? Rob's saying yes, please, as he's cutting it out. So let's try and find something which will bounce a bit more light up. And try and hold a mirror in place here. This could be absolute overkill now. It's doing very little still. Let me just come a little bit more. Just get a modelling light on it. It's not really doing anything for us here. And again, this catch light at the top now is a bit too centred because I've just slightly knocked it, so it's going to move that a little bit as well. Let's try there. So we want this hotspot, we want it to be a little bit more round here if possible. Let's see what effect that has. A little bit, we need more though. I can see it loading in. That's good. Just going to reconfirm focus again because we've knocked the table quite a lot. There we go. So I'm liking the catch light a lot more now. It's quite moody down the side, which I'm kind of into as well. There we go. So as we come further around, we get nicer modelling here. But now I think we've gone a bit too much. We might need a bit of bounce coming back in. So we've got the red light here, but I'm going to put a mirror here to see if that catches any. And if not, we'll try a white card. Because the mirror really relies on the reflection coming straight back in from the light. But we're so close in there, I can't really see. No, it's getting nothing. We need a bit of a white card. Let's see what we've got. What I've actually picked up is some grey paper. So it doesn't bounce as much light in, obviously, as white paper does, but this might be subtle enough, because I don't want to lose that big shadow, but I do just want a little bit of bounce light coming in. That's a bit better, but now we've got too much softness on here because of the grey. So it's helping a bit, but it's causing other problems as well. So that's with the grey card, then the next frame that loads in. That's, yeah, much prefer the red there. So this might end up being, see, I don't see that the grey card here on this frame is doing enough to these shadows. It's subtle, it's not worth it. So it's causing too many problems, so we'll ignore that. Now the next thing we're going to do now, because if we're going to try and build anything else into this, it's going to be really complex. So the easy idiot solution is to come in here, go to our shadow slider, and see if we've got the detail in there, which we have. So this might be a job for post, and that's pretty much how we decide it. We'll just quickly jump in, see what we've got, what we can play with, then let's really punch this in so we can see how punchy we can make it. There's a quick grade on that, tiny bit of shadow recovery. Can really punch the clarity as well. Definitely push the saturation up quite a bit. Look at those reds. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. And of course, this is all going to be masked out. It's just going to be a floating pill for like a bit of a hero shot. Now there's a few things we can do to make this better. We can of course open up the lens to f11, f16 and focus stack it. We're not going to do that now because it'll take absolutely ages. But just now to get this rough shot, we're what, 25 minutes in? And this is quite a simple setup. Like this is not portfolio worthy in any way whatsoever. We'd probably go in and open up 500 pills and find the perfect pill. We'd spend a lot more time rigging it up so it's really solidly in place. And of course, at this point here with the lighting, we'd take a frame off here for the retoucher to have a look at, make sure they can mask it well and bring it into a good final spot. I am liking the red bleed at the side. I'm liking the colors, I'm liking the catch light. There's just a bit of finessing I'd perhaps do, but because we're not taking it to a final image, we probably won't for this video. But that's it. This is kind of the process we go through with my thoughts in my head pretty much verbalized as I go. So hopefully it's of use to you to see how we come up with these things. We've ended up with what, 3 lights? But I've not come into it going, we're doing a 3-light setup. I've come into it saying, we've got something we need to light. We know where we want the light to come from, the shadows. We wanted a red glow. And these are thoughts that cropped into my head as we were shooting. There's no real plan here. Of course, if it was a portfolio job or a client job, we would have planned it in much more detail as to what the final image would look like. But sometimes it's just fun to come in the studio, have a bit of a play and see what we can achieve. There we go. Bang in.